On today's episode of the DeRaud-Messinger Show, we're reacting to number 12 Oklahoma's big win over Texas. Longhorns fans, and if you're a fan of Oklahoma too, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. It's greatly appreciated. Remember, this is part of HornSports.com's Longhorns coverage. We appreciate all the support. Go check us out online. Yet again, always free, Dylan. This is a great country to live in because of that. But Dylan, let's just get right into it. I got the game ball section going on. This is the time to think positive. We'll deconstruct and just talk some constructive criticism shortly. But Dylan, what are the good things for Texas or even Oklahoma for that matter? But the Oklahoma part might come a little bit more in the second half.
Listen, I actually want to give you the floor on this one, Devin, because your boy did not lose this game for Texas. He almost helped them win the game, and that's Bert Auburn. I wanted to give you the floor here because you have been standing up for him. He is your guy, and he came through. Even in a loss, he came through because we are not talking about an Auburn miss here with 2 minutes left in the game. We're talking about a game-winning drive by Oklahoma, right? So I want to give you the floor. Just got to talk up your boy because you stuck with him. I know we had our doubts, but you didn't bury him or anything, so I respect that out of you.
I did not, and I have Twitter control at times of Horn Sports, and I've been a nice man. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, Dylan. I'd like to thank the Academy. No, just kidding. I hope is that your game ball? Okay. I'll
I
use the
wanted to give
floor.
the game ball to special teams. Yeah,
Okay.
if you want to talk
I
about
mean, I'll
special
use
teams
the
here, I
floor
thought it
for
was
a
very good.
second. Of course. Yeah. Anytime I can steal from you, I'd gladly do it. Bert Auburn. Yeah, Dylan. I mean, how many field goals was it? Two or three? It seemed like that was the case. Anyway, regardless,
Yeah.
were they super lengthy field goals? No, I believe they're like 45, 47, which is still pushing it, excuse me, with his long
Yeah.
being 49. But Dylan, the Red River kicking in this game is different than kicking most. The pressure is a lot higher. I mean, it'd only really be matched by, unfortunately, I'm going to say conference championship, but us Longhorns fans do not know what that means. Or, the playoff picture. This is a high pressure environment. Bert Auburn, Dylan, as you said, did not cost Texas the chance to win this game. In fact, did quite the opposite. Gave the Longhorns, with a little over a minute 17 left in the game, a chance to win the game, put them up.
Yeah.
Of course, Dylan Gabriel, if you're a Texas fan, is a mean, mean man. Special teams, punt block as well. I got to mention that
Yeah.
Keaton Crawford, I believe Dylan was after the second Ewers interception too that was deflected off of
Mm.
Jatavian's hands, and of course by Billy Bowman Jr. Yet again, mean, mean man. We talked about that Denton Ryan brotherly love
I that
matchup.
was
We got a little bit too much Denton Ryan there. Bowman just nailing Jatavian, former teammates in high school. But yes, on the ensuing Oklahoma drive, gets their punt blocked, picked up by Malik Muhammad. Special teams, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I said that was going to be one of the X factors in this game, and it definitely played a factor. But yet again,
that
when we
was
get
a
to the
huge moment too. Like it really did feel like, oh, here we go again. Like we got another pick. Texas was about to score. Like this game's falling apart. Like Ewers is not looking good. You saw it the moment the game started on the first opening drive, right? Especially if you start off with an interception. Like, but you felt that, and the fact that the special teams able to come up so big in this moment and get a touchdown here definitely changed the way the game was going to go. Obviously, the result still ended the same with the loss for Texas, but it kept Texas in it, right? Kept them alive in all of this.
it's at least promising, especially considering the fact that the punt game was a weakness a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Of course, we haven't had to deal with too much of the catching of the football and the muffing of the punts lately with the punt block. That definitely helps not have to
Although
get it
Xavier
back.
Worthy scaring the bejesus out of
Oh,
me on one
picking
of
up
those where it
that
took a weird,
bouncer.
yeah.
I my yet again, I'm gonna be light on this because this is not my deflated ball, but Xavier on that one, that was a tough one. Didn't have too much hang time, but on that play, he
Yeah.
should have ran up, caught it like 10 or 15 yards in front. I
Yeah.
believe Texas would have gotten the ball at like the 30 to the 35. Instead, bounces quite a bit and takes a dangerous hop that if he, misfields, definitely Oklahoma would have it in the red zone. I did too have some minor heart palpitations. But yet again, though, Dylan, I was just enjoying this game. Of
Yeah.
course, we have the Texas background, but we are fans of footballs, hoping for a good game. We got a good game. Of course, if you're a Longhorns fan, though, those last 15 seconds doing, oh boy, oh boy. But what else was the positive from this game for you?
Listen, I just want to say when I was watching this game, I was actually up at Easy Tiger. I think it's on South Lamar while I was watching this game.
Shout out.
And yeah,
Try to
shout
get
out.
that
I was in the
NIL deal over there.
yeah, please sponsor. But what I'm saying, I was in the Sark crouch position, it felt like the entire time. And one of the biggest things I kept saying to myself to tie it back together, Devin, is I was like, this is the Jordan Whittington game. I don't know why we didn't say this enough. Because the moment it was happening during the game, I was like, why did we not talk about more how this just screams Whittington getting more catches and more action, right? And it came up big with 10 receptions, 115 yards. Just saying, I'm lumping us into this together because I didn't hear it too much out of you either.
Yeah, I know. I got to hit you with that meme. We didn't talk about him. I talked about him. I mean, I said this Red River game, when you think about Texas and like the legends that come through it, it seems like a Jordan Shipley sort of game, and this was a Jordan Whittington sort of game. He seems to make his name known during these Red River games. And yeah, Dylan, that was my pick here. 10 catches, 115 yards. Of course, you got to find the end zone on that one. He stopped just short. He did show a great effort to get that close to the end zone, but of course, it didn't pay off. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. Tier. But Dylan, Whittington making me proud. Jonathan Brooks also. I mean, he's got to get a game ball.
The amount of times I said he's good at football when I was watching that game was numerous amount of times.
I tweeted it out. He's kind of like a matador. You know, he's got his little cape. He presents his body with the football, and then whoosh, he just unleashes, and he's in a different direction.
He can make the first guy miss. And the way he's playing, and especially on that one long touchdown run where he read his blockers perfectly, leaned into it and cut back. Like, the moves that he's making, those are NFL level running back plays with his vision and the way that he can make the first guy miss, which is the biggest thing that coaches talk about. What separates from a normal running back from one of the best running backs is the ability to make the first guy miss.
No, exactly. And Sark talked about it, I believe, after the Kansas game, and I believe we discussed it too a little bit in our last video or the reaction video. His key strength as a running back is making the safeties miss. I mean, when he gets to that level, it is hard to bring him down, and he's gotten better, seemingly, at least just if you focus just on the running game, not even the stats. Every week he's gotten a little bit better. So he's my game ball too. But Dylan, I don't know if you have any other game balls, but my primary game ball, Oklahoma fans, please lean in. The Oklahoma Sooners, Dylan. The Oklahoma Sooners are getting my top game ball.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is restricted to Texas, pretty much. I mean, I guess not forcefully, but yeah, I'm giving Oklahoma credit. I mean, we talked about how they could win, what needed to happen for them to win, and that happened. I talked about Quinn Ewers needing to take care of the football. Of course, in the end, the turnovers didn't necessarily kill Texas, Dylan. It helped that they happened so early in the game. It's almost like, if you lose a game early in the season, it's better than losing one late in the season. No hints here, Dylan.
I will say that first opening pick, there was a spin zone to that, and you can just be like, he got out of the way early, right? Like, all right, it's out. Like, we don't have to worry about this. He's going to look fine now. But although I will say this, I don't know if you felt the same way. That play was screaming that it was going to go to A.D. Mitchell. Like, they moved 3 guys to the other side of the ball.
I'm going to deflated balls with that. Yeah.
Oh, you're going to go into that?
I moved the slide. No, you continue. You're on deflated now.
I was with friends, right? And I was literally projecting to the people everywhere near me. I'm like, this ball is going to Mitchell on a slant route. This is literally where it's going. Oklahoma saw it on film. They knew it was a diversion on the other side of the field. They knew they wanted to go to him on a slant. And, Ewers, I think actually was worthy coming across, but if he had waited a second or two, you would have liked to see him kind of throw to a different guy there because that was instantly blown up. But yeah, I was screaming that this ball was going to Mitchell, and Oklahoma heard it too.
But not only that, it was not only screaming that, but he was staring down his receiver, Dylan, for five seconds.
During the play, it was screaming it. Yeah.
My eyes from the press box were just locked on the pocket, so I was looking at Quinn, and his head was not moving for 5 seconds, and I was like, oh gosh, like please. And of course, result interception. However, yet again, we're in the deflated ball section now, but I do give Quinn credit. He had 3 turnovers in this game, which is not great, of course. Thankfully, if you're a Longhorns fan, did not cost Texas too many points, as in if 3 turnovers are created on your quarterback, you're usually going to be down in a hole quite a bit because the Sooners will take advantage. Of course, they scored a touchdown off of that first interception that we just discussed, following a Dylan Gabriel 9-yard touchdown rush, but did not kill Texas. But credit to Quinn Ewers for after that composing himself. I believe Dylan, I'll pull up the stats right now, but I believe he finished with 346 yards and a touchdown pass. Of course, only one TD pass, but 346 yards was impressive. Texas got in position to score, just could not find the end zone, which, Dylan, my opening deflated ball. Oh my goodness gracious. No. I'm not going to get on a soapbox, and I talked about it on Twitter yet again. If you guys aren't following us at HornSports or at our Twitters that are located down below, we got you covered. Man, the jumbo package for 3 plays in a row was killing me. It's a cute thing, Dylan, and it has been working. And Sark talked about it afterwards. Like, it has been working for them, so you can't discredit it. But I feel like you can only run that 1 or 2 plays just because the simple fact that your best offensive players are on the sideline. Xavier Worthy, I believe A.D. Mitchell was on the sideline too. I can't exactly remember that one, but I know Whittington was also. It's just the fact that your key offensive weapons are on the bench. So Oklahoma can prime themselves for stopping the run. They're knowing it's going to be a run play. And if I'm the Oklahoma defense, I know Byron Murphy scored a touchdown a couple weeks ago, but I don't care about Byron Murphy on this play, Dylan. If I'm Oklahoma, I'm not even looking at him. And T'Vondre Sweat, he might have hands as well. No disrespect. We love T'Vondre Sweat and Byron Murphy. It's not, anything against them. But offensively, they're not, recruited for that. So I'm not paying attention to them at all. So they're 2 non-factors. That's 2.
It's like when Matt Nagy of the Chiefs takes the ball out of Mahomes' hands and runs Wildcat on 4th and 1. Right? Like, it's why are you taking the best player in the game out of the game?
Exactly.
Right? And putting it in someone else's hands.
Well, it's just, if you can't beat Oklahoma for half a yard on a play, you don't deserve to win. That's quite simple, Dylan. And if it doesn't happen,
Can I talk about my other pet peeve? If it's ever 4th and 1 or in a goal line situation, I hate pitch plays and I hate plays that happen outside of the end zone. So when you're running or you're throwing a quick pass to Worthy and he has to then catch the ball,
running back toss or something,
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Especially on a goal line.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing if it's in Madden, Dylan, you got the running back curling the corner, but when it's just to the outside, not really curling, it is tough. And yet again, I'm not anti-jumbo package. In fact, Dylan, someone call me.
I didn't have an issue with that.
Yeah. Someone call me a jumbo package lover. But three plays.
I think you're calling yourself that, but
some people would say. But a jumbo package, right. 3 plays in a row. That was too much. And just in terms of play calling, yet again, I think I'm usually fair when it comes to Sark because he is an offensive genius, Dylan, and I don't think that anyone really, a few names in college football, but not really. Sark is pretty deserving of that compared to most people. And I 100% am not an offensive coordinator nor the head coach of the Longhorns, and I'm not making a lot of money to be play calling. But the one, yet again, I can't fault him for this thing I'm about to say. But one thing that does kind of not necessarily pay me, but just kind of pesters is the decision. Yet again, we praised him a second ago, but Bert Auburn with that last field goal, 4th and 4, Oklahoma territory. If you make the field goal, of course, you're asking Oklahoma to march the length of the field to score 3 points, at least tied up. Of course, ended up being a touchdown for Oklahoma. No one expects that. That's worst case scenario that happened to Texas on Saturday. However, Dylan, if Texas goes for it on 4th and 4, risky, I know, but if Texas goes for it and gets the first down, does ice the game there pretty much. Yet again, though, you can't. I'm not really fighting that decision. That's just personal opinion because what? Let me get it out.
I was like, I want to read.
So fast. No, I know you want to get in there, but no, I can't blame Sark. I don't think it's a bad decision. I think, in a weird way, it's hard to articulate it. If they get the first down, their winning percentage is at its highest. But is it the smart play to just run Burt out for the field goal? Yeah, most likely, and it's easier to defend in terms of having to talk about it. If he goes for a fourth down and he doesn't get it, they're in trouble. And at least he did send the guys out to try faking and ended up calling the timeout. So it was kind of the best of both worlds scenario in terms of that. Oklahoma, though, coached by Venables, is a disciplined defense. They're not going to fall for that. But Dylan, what do you think? I know I'm going to get some disagreements there, but that was just me.
It was an impossible situation. I actually thought they should go for it. But also when you're talking about you give the ball, if you don't get it, you give the ball kind of at the 40-yard line, right? You got your answer. The next time Oklahoma touched that ball, you got the answer that they were going to be able to move it, right? Like, especially with their long drive that they had after Brett Auburn made the field goal, right?
Yeah.
So, like,
no, I agree. That's why I argue they should have gone for it, though. That's why I argue they should.
No.
Yeah, because I did not have the confidence in the defense. I know they were playing a little bit better at that point in the game, but with the field goal being around, I believe it was the 35-ish yard line, maybe 30-yard line, they're going to end up with the ball at that point anyway.
But they couldn't get touchdowns in the red zone. Like, you had no faith that they could go in there and pick up yardage like that in serious situations, and that was what was so tough. So then you end up kicking the field goal, and then
that's the big thing.
Gabriel just runs away. Like, there was just so many, and that's the thing that was so hard about this game, because there were so many things that one side of the ball did well for the other one, but then the other, you'd have the offense make some good plays and then, not do so well, and the defense would pick up the slack and keep them in it, and then you'd have the offense turn it over, and then the offense would score, and then the defense can't guard anybody. So it was so hard to pinpoint a lot of the things, and it's just a lot of the times you saw with the time management with Sark, you gave Dylan Gabriel too much time. And I look at one specific play where Ewers got sacked on, 1st and 10 with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left. That would have been a play where you could have shortened it down to maybe a 3rd and 5 when you hand the ball off to Brooks. But in this case, it was 3rd and 10. They hand it off to Brooks. You get 6 yards, and you get the 4th and 4 with 1:22 left, and Oklahoma was able to use their timeout. So it's there were certain things within that game where
and both sides,
you'd like to see some improvement in the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, both sides.
I agree with both sides.
Because no, I 100% agree. One interesting thing on that same drive, the last drive for Texas, at least before you had to get in Hail Mary mode, was Brent Venables doing. He waited 20 seconds to call a timeout.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on
Ultimately
there.
decided to do it. Thankfully for him, he ended up calling that, because otherwise they would not have had enough time. But he really squeezed his offense on that ensuing drive by waiting so long. Of course, it ended up paying off for him, Dylan, though. So, but no, as you got to a good point, that's really was number one on my list of deflated balls. Red zone offense. I mean, we talked about the jumbo package. That's one thing. 3 plays on the ground with the big bodies to get half a yard to 1 yard after, they got pushed back on that, as Dylan mentioned, sideways pitch. And then, the Xavier Worthy route just didn't go far enough. That's just kind of bad luck. But, when you get to the red zone, you need to perform. They were 1 for 3 today. Ewers' second interception of the game was in the red zone, that one that we mentioned earlier to Jatavian Sanders, which was just so unkindly knocked out by Billy Bowman Jr. and then intercepted. Red zone offense, Dylan, has been really the weakest point offensively. I feel like Texas has been able to move.
losing. In our preview, I was like, I think the trenches are going to do a lot of the work. Later in the game, really wear down the Oklahoma defense. But you saw losing Jake Majors so early in the game like that. And who came in to replace him? It was a redshirt freshman, right?
Connor Robertson out of Westlake.
Yeah,
redshirt freshman.
Yeah, you saw the difference. The trenches, or better, the offensive line wasn't operating the same way that you would with Majors. So that was a very big loss. And you saw it late in the game, especially when it comes to the goal line fronts and getting the push up front. With how Majors have been playing this year, you would think he'd win his one-on-one up front, and that's a little different for Robertson, who doesn't have the same experience.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, Sark praised Robertson's game afterwards, and I think that's fair. I mean, he talked about
it. It's a big moment that he came in on.
Impossible situation he got put into and did pretty well. I think he did have 1 or 2 penalties, but yet again, he had a false start, which is hard on the center, don't I gotta admit. I can't paint it up in a good light as much as I'd like to. But no, I mean, that's pretty much his first, Sark said, quote, real game action. And I do not wish that on my worst of enemies, is throwing them into the Red River game for your first real snaps. But Robertson did quite well. But yet again, yeah, it's a different component with him out there, especially with the lack of just game experience. Just tough sledding there, Dylan. And then deflated game ball number 2/number 3 or number 4, whatever we're on now. Yet again, got to stay positive during these trying times. The Texas contain on running quarterbacks. I will give us a helmet sticker for this one, because while Gabriel has not been super run happy so far this season, we talked about how last year's game, really the only Oklahoma offense that was working was wildcat formation / running the ball from the pocket, with Davis Bevel, of course, not being able to throw the football, unfortunately. But no disrespect to Bevel, I don't know how he keeps on entering these videos, John. Yeah. No, Gabriel, you got to give him credit. He had plays, multiple, designed for him. Quarterback draws. You do not see that from a guy that is not supposed to be runner. He's got speed. We know that. He's got speed. But Texas had no answer for him. The pass rushing lanes, as Sark mentioned after the game, on the defense just were not there. There's plenty of gaps.
And the tackling was horrible in the start of the second half. Like that for opening drive was hard to watch as Majors looked like, Marshawn Lynch out there for a bit.
It looked like year one of the defense out there, and not the team that we've been seeing as of late. The defense has been, the saving grace. And some people are downplaying, Dylan, the absence of Ryan Watts before the game. I was quick to put a question to that, because Texas, in the secondary, sure, everyone's been beat seemingly once or twice already, let's be honest. But he is probably the most experienced guy in the secondary for Texas. And experience in a game like this matters. Of course, when Jalen Catalon also went down for Texas, now you have two of the most experienced guys. Of course, Catalon is not, he has had some health injury concerns, and especially in his first season with Texas. He seemingly has been on a limited snap count, but as weeks have gone on, he's seen more of the field, and he made some plays before getting injured. But with Catalon and Watts out, Dylan, the secondary was starting to show some signs. But yet again, I think primarily in terms of getting beat, it came down to Texas allowing Gabriel to run, and oh boy did he run. Insert that Forrest Gump meme, Dylan, that you so love. I mean, he was running and running and running, and he ended up in Utah, I think, at the end of this game. He put some miles on those tires. Just Texas could not stop it. I don't want to get more into it. It's been a recurring problem, but that has been a problem for the Longhorns. Dylan, any other problems? One thing I noted was penalties. 9 penalties, 70 yards, including the defensive pass interference, which pretty much won it for Oklahoma. At that point, you're even considering, not wisely so, but you're even considering letting them score purposefully to keep some time on the clock. Just tough day for Texas.
I thought they had a lot of moments that they bounced back, were able to recover. Defense had great stops along the way to keep Texas in it. When they were down 10, Devon, I think it was 27-17, and Texas came roaring back after that Jonathan Brooks touchdown run. Like, they were very much in it, but the moment it felt like the pressure was back on, the defense let up a big play. Like, I think the inexperience due to injury and possibly just, struggles from the secondary before this and seeing newer guys play really bit them in the butt in this one, especially with just deep shots to Farouk, right? That killed them. Getting out of contain.
Ended up with Nick Anderson.
Taken off.
Nick Anderson, who we talked about, out of Katy, did end up making us smart.
And you knew it was going to be a problem. And that was the thing, is like the secondary, we talked about this. It was like, this is the weakness to this Texas team. And this was going to be a test to see how good this defense really was. And at moments they kind of answered it, but as the stats will show, Oklahoma worked them. Like, Oklahoma offensively had their way with them. And Dylan Gabriel, who's been the best quarterback they faced this year, proved the limitations of this defense so far. And I think a big thing is that inexperience, and that'll get better over time. But the Red River, as you can attest to, Devon, having watched this for your entire life, like, it is a game of experience. There's a reason why veterans like Jordan Whittington go off in this game, right? And it doesn't matter who's the most talented team. Someone with the most level heads on their shoulders, and Oklahoma kind of had that because they didn't have the hiccups Texas had going on like early on in the game. Like Dylan Gabriel did not make the same mistakes that Quinn Ewers made, even if Ewers has the better arm and more talent coming out of high school. Didn't matter because they knew how to win, and they weren't going to let anything that Texas threw at them get in their way of the ultimate goal, and that's what went out here for Oklahoma.
And yet again, props to them. They had their heads just all pointed in one direction towards that goal. The Oklahoma Sooners, they got it done. And Dylan, like you said, that last drive, and yet again, that's part of the reason why I was hoping Texas would end up going for it on 4th and 4 on their next to last possession on offense.
Yeah.
Was because I just had that gut feeling, Dylan. As a Cowboys fan, I'm repping today. You just know when that quarterback on the opposing sideline is going to make a run at it. And I just knew Gabriel was going to march his team down. Did I think it was going to be a touchdown? No, but I was not too excited. I mean, I don't know about the fans at home, but I was assuming something was going to happen. Just like Dylan said, we have not seen great things from the secondary this season. And Dylan so beautifully illustrated all the things we previewed. The secondary being a weakness in terms of big plays allowed. There's a lot of big plays allowed, a lot of missed tackles, as Dylan also touched on. Dylan Gabriel being the best quarterback Texas has played so far this season and likely will play at least until some sort of bowl game or such.
Yeah.
And it just ended up making the Longhorns pay. Dylan was not always the most accurate with the football, but when he needed someone, he got it done. You got to credit him, and his legs. Yet again, Sark credited that as the difference. Was the running game for Gabriel, and it ended up working out for them. He was patient in the pocket, had time, fired and delivered. Much to Texas fans' dismay.
Yeah.
And Dylan, unless you have something else to add, I just wanted to say one more note, but I'll let you go.
I just wanted to say it's not the end of the road for Texas here. You can still get the revenge game later in the year. I know this is a pet peeve, Devon, of yours, but hey, Texas got the bye week. Then they got Houston, BYU at home, and Kansas State comes into town. They got TCU, who's not looked like the TCU of last year, Iowa State, and then Texas Tech to finish off the season. So Oklahoma was the best team left on their schedule. That game is over, and they still have the chance to then bounce back if they make it to the Big 12 championship game and take back that loss and get some revenge. Very similar to how Oklahoma did it back in the day with Kyler Murray, right? So it's still there. White boy years. I know some people don't want to be hearing that, but the future is still bright, and it's not like Oklahoma dominated this game. Texas could have easily won this.
Yeah, I agree, Dylan. It's not the end of the world for Texas. We talked about in the preseason when we were just kind of going over the game schedule and just picking wins and losses. I said I think Texas is going to win one. They're going to split. They're going to win one and lose one in between Alabama and Oklahoma. Well, here's the loss, but it's not the end of the world as Texas, or Dylan, said. They're talking about Texas. What is going on? Dylan's name is now Texas. Congratulations, Dylan. But
Thank you, ambassador.
Big time ambassador. It's not the end of the world for Texas. As Dylan said, I'm not going to unnecessarily hype this up because, as Dylan also beautifully mentioned, it is a pet peeve of mine.
Hey, you're hyping me up right now.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a pet peeve of mine that this is the talk every single year against Oklahoma. At what point do you just lay the hammer and knock out Oklahoma, Dylan, and not have to worry about that? Of course.
I think you go for it on 4th and 4.
4th and 4?
Like you're talking about. Yeah.
Yet again, I'm not a coordinator. But if anyone wants to pay me some money to do so and probably end up losing a lot of games, I'm your guy. But Dylan, yet again, just Texas, they still have a shot. They have to take it week by week. They can't be saying, we still got a shot at Arlington. You got to forget Arlington. Just play every game and let the results do the talking. Not a good week for being businesslike in the John Wick mentality, Dylan. But that's for another time. It's not the end of the world, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. It's greatly appreciated. Check us out at HornSports.com. And please let us know what you thought about this year's OU versus Texas game. It was a beauty, Dylan. It was an instant classic, and that's all I can say. Other than that, have a great rest of your day.